The tall, gangly thing?
Hello and welcome. Today I am joined by the OCE Worlds representative, Razza. Razza, thank you so much for being here with me today.
It's all good. My pleasure.
So before we start, a lot of people aren't super familiar with the OCE player base, especially if they come from NA or EU. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Rex, but everyone just calls me Razza. It's like my gamer tag. I'm a TFT streamer trying to go pro. So I took the dive into full-time streaming last year in about August, I think. And I'm just giving myself until the end of this year to try and turn into like a real career. I've been playing TFT since pretty much open beta, and I've been high ranked since set 3.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would say that making Worlds in set 4 is a pretty good stepping stone into if you're trying to make it pro. I think that you're definitely showing that you have the skill level to get there. So before we get into Worlds coming up this weekend, let's back up to regional finals. Like I said, not everyone is super familiar with the OCE scene, and not everyone really got to see your tournament run. So could you just give us a brief summary of what that tournament run looked like, and whether or not the tournament actually met your expectations, or if it played out the way you thought it would?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't have like super high expectations going to the tournament because it's like you kind of need to like win games to win tournaments, and I'm a very like top 4 centric player. So I was just like went into it like just hoping for the best pretty much. And going to tournaments, like pretty much everyone's like pretty equally skilled. Like some players might be better than others at like different things, but like the overall skill levels are like pretty much the same. And because I have like a super top 4 like centric playstyle, I didn't have that much trouble getting through the first 2 days. But then like on day 3, I kind of like got into a weird spot where it was like I was like on the last game, and I needed to win the last game to like progress to day 4. So it's like a little bit dicey, but like I guess I just like managed to pull through there. And then last day was like super stacked. Like the lobby was just super stacked. Like Keen was in the lobby. It's like really, really good players like from our region in the lobby. So I think it just pretty much went down to like whoever harrowed the hardest and just made like the least mistakes, I guess. And like I guess on that day it was just me, pretty much.
Kind of talking about tournament play and how tournaments actually play out. If you look at EU, 4 of the 6 qualified players actually come from France, which is known to have the strongest tournament infrastructure in all of EU. So it seems like it's evidence of the fact that if you have tournaments regularly in your region, you will be able to perform in tournament when it comes time for Worlds qualification. I think that's a fair assumption to make. What is the tournament scene actually like in OCE? Was this something that you felt like you were prepared for going into Worlds?
Well, in general, like the tournament seems pretty like rough in OCE. Like there's like one guy, Tycoon, who just runs tournaments he used to run them every like Friday night, and he funds the prize pool out of like his own pocket pretty much. Like that's about it. Like basically no one like that funds tournaments or anything in our region. And I think overall that like really hurts the like strength of our players in terms of tournament play. And that's kind of why like I feel like I kind of had an edge like in tournament there, because I used to play a lot of like No Limit, so I'm pretty used to like playing tournaments. And Keen is also someone who's used to like playing under pressure as well, right? Because he used to play LCS. So where I felt like we had the edge there compared to like ladder players who like can lose like 300 LP in a day and come back tomorrow and like get 300 LP back, right? But like you can't like fail to qualify for Worlds and come back tomorrow and like try and qualify again. You feel me? So it's kind of like a lot of players weren't really like ready for like the pressure and just crumbled, mainly because like we lacked tournaments and they didn't really have experience with that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I believe Keen actually placed second in the qualifier as well, right?
Yeah,
so it goes to show that if you have experience playing under pressure, that when push comes to shove, you'll be able to perform if you're comfortable in that position.
Exactly.
I wanted to kind of point out another major point of contention that people have kind of had during this time, and that is the lack of representation from Southeast Asia at Worlds. And, you come from OCE, where a lot of Southeast Asian players will also have accounts and play on the OCE ladder as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like we're missing a large skill level, or are we missing out on some great players by not having that region represented at Worlds?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there are a lot of Southeast Asian players who play on the OCE server just because like we have better like quality of games. Like I've heard on the Southeast Asia server, even in peak hour, you can have like a lobby with like a challenging a plat player like in the same lobby in ranked, which is just like so scuffed. Yeah. So like it's like I don't know what's going on, but I don't know like how they're not getting a slot. But like right now, if you look at like the OC ladder, like there's probably like at least half of like top 10 are all like Southeast Asian players from their server who are playing on our server with like 200 plus ping. So it just like boggles my mind that they're not getting a slot. Like I don't know what's going on, if there's like politics or somewhere there. But yeah, I mean I don't want to get bundled with them for a slot because then we have to fight them for the slot. But like they do deserve like at least one slot.
Yeah, I mean, I watch Jose Paulo all the time. His stream.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great example of. He's a Filipino player. He has no way of qualifying for Worlds, but I mean, he plays on OCE. I think he was rank 1 at one point.
NA. Yeah, he's rank 1 right now on OC, and when he plays on NA, he's like top 10 NA as well. Right, this guy's an insane player, and this morning he was telling me that there are players that are even more insane than him on like their server, who like are just stuck playing their server pretty much.
Yeah, and this isn't the first set too. I believe set 3 they also didn't have representation.
Yeah.
So I think that it's fair to criticize it. I think that it's important to bring this stuff up, and hopefully with set 5, I will say that TFT seems to be on a good trajectory. That every set the competitive support seems to get better and better. So I think we can hold out and say that we'll hope for set 5, but yeah, I definitely think that that's a major point of contention. It's important to bring up. When people talk about their expectations for Worlds, a lot of people would say that Worlds are going to be won by a major region: NA, EU, China, Korea. Do you feel like these emerging regions like OCE are being slept on? How do you feel about like the actual strength of OCE versus the rest of the world?
I think we're definitely being slept on. Honestly, I think like in terms of like server strength, we're probably similar. Like I feel like I haven't played like on Korea or on China or like on EUS. I've only played on NA and OC, and let me say that server strengths are like honestly pretty similar. In like past sets, we've definitely been like a lot weaker as a region, but I think we're definitely catching up like in set 4 and 4.5. I think at the top level, it's like pretty much the same, right? Like, yeah, like someone that's like top 10 on OC could play like on NA and also be like top 25 on NA.
Yeah, I think some evidence of that is the in-house scrims that have been going on this past week, and I know you were kind of VOD reviewing some of your games from those in-houses. The results I saw actually was a 6-game series where you actually place second, and obviously 6 games doesn't tell the story. But on day 1 of Worlds, you're only going to have 5. So did playing in those in-houses actually change your perception of your skill level versus the rest of the field?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I wasn't that confident going into scrims because I thought I'd just be getting crushed. Like, because like a lot of these are like really big names. Like, I'm kind of like starstruck. Socks, like Kurum, like these guys like insane at the game, absolutely insane. But like, performing decent in scrims has definitely made me a lot more confident in myself, I think. Like, I don't know if like the other players are like limit testing a lot in scrims. I know like Ramkev was doing like some crazy stuff in scrims, but yeah, I was just like playing my best to see how I measure up, and I feel a little bit more confident now, honestly.
Nice, yeah, and I think it's important to see kind of how the world is starting to measure up against each other, because it's kind of the first taste we're really getting in the set. When it comes to competitive TFT, a lot of people know the big names, your Sojus and your Kyuns, your Salvi and Fluffy. But going into Worlds, you're representing OCE, and you guys, Keen is probably the one player that like people outside of OCE, everyone knows Keen, right? He's LCS mid laner, he's a big YouTuber. Yeah. But you actually have the opportunity to represent OCE. You're kind of carrying them on your back. Do you feel like the stakes go beyond you as an individual at Worlds?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure, I think, to perform well, especially since like I think the number of slots that a region gets is based on server size and like their previous performance at previous Worlds. So it's like, I kind of hope I don't choke and I can put up a good result so, we can get more slots. And I feel like, we've got a lot to prove as well as a region, because everyone kind of views us as like a minor region and we're like a lot weaker. So it's like kind of a lot of pressure there to perform and not let down like, my region.
Is there a lot of preparation from you going into this event? What does it actually look like?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I've just been like nonstop pretty much. So So Worlds is being played on Tournament Realm, which means that anyone outside of North America is going to have high ping. So I've just been playing on NA to like kind of get used to the ping, and then just VOD reviewing like all my games. And I'm getting a lot of help as well, like a lot of players from both OCE and from North America. I don't want to name any names in case they get called out or something for like helping a different region. But yeah, like they've been generous enough to like just put in the time and help me identify where I can improve. And yeah, I'm super grateful for that, honestly. And I'm watching a lot of VODs as well. So I'm watching like the scrims, but from other players' perspectives to see like what they do differently. Like anyone who's been streaming the scrims pretty much. Yeah, just like VODs from like players that I think are really, really good, like Ramblin. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad that I don't have to like face Ramblin like at Worlds. I think that guy's like absolutely insane. But yeah, just watching VODs of players that I think are better and like try to see like what they do differently or what they do better.
One of the things you just pointed out was, that you'll work with other players to VOD review the same game, or maybe it's just for theory crafting. But can you kind of expand a little bit on this? What does it actually look like to have multiple people helping you prepare for Worlds? I think a lot of people, they play ladder and then they turn off the game and they come back tomorrow. A lot of people don't really experience that group aspect of improvement. Can you just kind of touch on that a little more?
It's really interesting because this is like kind of a game where like at the highest level, there's no like one obvious optimal like clear-cut way to play the game. So it's like a lot of top players kind of see the game differently. Like I see the game differently from like other players, like top players in my region and top players from like NA as well. So it's like really good to have like different perspectives on like what they would do here or like do there and what I would do here, do there. And it's like, I guess like a lot of these players I feel are also like better than me. So it's really helpful when like everyone agrees on something that's a mistake, and then I can like pick out something that like I can improve on. So it's like, and then like at the end of like reviewing, like, well, we did it today. Like we reviewed like all 6 of the scrim games from yesterday. Just like, yeah, we just pick out like what the main like clear mistakes that like repeating themselves over and over and over across those like 6 games, and just like work on that pretty much. So today it was I overall too much, like instead of like trying to win games. Yeah, and like minor like mistakes, like item distribution, pretty much.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for the insight. I think that's really valuable to people who aren't super familiar with it. You're talking about all the different names going into World. What I'd love to know is which players are you excited to play going into World, and which players are you kind of hoping to avoid?
Kind of like the same people to me, I think. Like I'm pretty keen to play against like Sox, Kurum. Like I've been like pretty big fans of them like for a while, and I'm pretty excited to see how I measure up like against them when they're like try-harding in like a big tournament setting. Which is also like I'm also scared of playing them because like I think they're so good at the game. I don't know that much about like China or Korea or like Japan, those regions, but I know like a lot of the US players are definitely like beasts as well. And Narkesh has definitely been like performing in scrims as well. Like I didn't really know who he was before, but he's like killing it pretty hard in scrims. And also like Jing from Turkey is also a beast, so I'm kind of worried about him as well.
Yeah, those are kind of the names that I've kind of heard are people have a lot of expectations. Jing in particular is one that keeps kind of coming up over and over again. So for you, coming out of World after, by the end of the weekend, what would have to happen for you to consider your Worlds run a success?
Honestly, I feel like making Worlds is a success like already, because ever since like Riot announced Worlds, I've like really wanted to win Worlds. But I played last set I played OCE NA regional final and I fell short there because like they combined OCE and NA last set. Yeah, so I fell short there and didn't make Worlds. So I really consider like making Worlds a success, but I would like to make it to the final day. Like honestly, I would say having like made it to Worlds, making the final day would be a success for me personally. But it just feel like insane to just win it all, right?
Yeah, definitely would be a Cinderella story to see a smaller region with fewer representatives coming out and winning on the world stage. So Razza, that's actually all I have for you. Is there anything you want to shout out or say before we get going?
No, that's about it. Just shout out to like all the guys who've been helping me out. I don't want to name any names, but like all the guys, like all the better players who've just been like helping me improve. It's improved so much these past 2 weeks from like all their help. But yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. All right. Well, Razza, thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who are watching this interview, thank you for watching this, up to this point. Make sure you guys watch TFT Worlds this upcoming weekend, and I'll see you guys later for more TFT coverage.